Hello, today I'm going to show you how to draw this fish surfboard, which is called the Simili Twin, that I've already put online in the warehouse, with a video which shows you how to do it, except that it was made with version 9.1.1.8. And today with the new version 9.1.2.0, there are new 3D layers of type free which make the design of this surfboard much more simple. We're going to see how today. So the main complicated thing here is the swallowtail design, which you had to draw in previous versions by using at least two 3D layers on top of each other. So it was quite technical. We can see in design mode here that there was a first 3D layer, which put the hole on the side view, and then another 3D layer, which surrounds the swallowtail rail here. And then there was this beak nose here, which was not very complicated to draw, with this method which uses curve editing in the view from above, but which requires quite fine adjustments to get a good, smooth result. And here the result is good, but in fact, when we look at the detail, it's still not really perfect. We can always find an angle where we see that there is a slight inflection. The shape isn't absolutely perfect, though it needed a bit of work. So to remake this swallowtail, I'm going to start by hiding the channels. I'm going to delete this first 3D layer, which marked the swallowtail's depth, which is now no longer useful. And next, this twin type 3D layer, I'm going to make it a free layer. Okay? So I'm going to put the homothetic interpolation mode back on, which works better in this case. Maybe I will do a video in the near future to explain the difference between the different interpolation modes. You can also look at the tutorial. And I'm going to map the inner curve of the 3D layer, not on the deck, but on the bottom. Okay? And so now, it makes a 3D layer, which makes the swallowtail's inside rail directly, and I will also be able to move this inner curve to the other side of the surfboard, with y less than 0. And the result it will have is that I'm going to place the definition slice here. We can see that the slice is created until y equals 0. But the result is that this slice cut on the y-axis equals 0. And so, quite simply with a single 3D layer and a defined slice, we have a very clean, perfectly adjusted swallowtail. Now let's see. How can we remake this beak nose? Using these 3D layers. So, rather than editing the deck 1 curve here, to make this kink, we're going to unedit it. Okay? We're going to delete this slice here. And here in the side view, we're going to make a bow with virtually regular thickness, like we would have before making the beak nose. And next, we're going to add a free type 3D layer on the front of the board. For example, we're going to make the beak nose start about here, around 4,6. So new 3D layer, type free layer. Here we're also going to put it in homothetic mode, which gives the best results, and we're going to move it from 4,6 to 5,8, which is the length of the board. So the inside curve will be well mapped on the deck. And we just have to put the outer curve on the apex of the board. So we're going to choose the apex curve for the Z. And for the Y, we put rail, which means that it will stick directly on the rail. So it will take the original shape, which corresponds exactly to the apex curve. So we can leave it like that. The result will be the same. And so we're going to put the inner curve around the level of point deck 1, so that it's just the rail which is modified. And once again, we're going to make the y of the inner curve less than 0. To have a perfectly continued transition between the start of the 3D layer and the front of the board. I just put the definition slice at the beginning, and next I right-click here. Slices, stick selected slice to original shape, to have exactly the same shape. And so we see that here we're going to go from exactly the original shape, and then next, where the original file starts having more boxy rails, here we stay with the same rail. And when y equals 0, it's as if we're continuing to shape beyond the y-axis, equaling 0, and that in the end, we cut the result of this shape, which makes exactly what we call a beak nose. And the result is absolutely perfect, without any irregularities. There you go. I'm going to put this file online in the warehouse. You can download it and play with these new 3D layers. Thank you. Goodbye.